Turkish oil wrestling? It's all Street
Yeah,
Fighter
that's what it
characters.
was.
What?
Yeah, Hakan, right? Or was it Hazan?
I never played a lot of Street Fighter, so I'm not very familiar with it. I just know the girl that has like crazy legs, right?
Yeah, Chun-Li. I loved Street
And
Fighter.
then there's
I got way
the
into it.
black-haired main dude and the blonde-haired main dude, right?
Ryu and Ken.
Yeah, and then there's the evil demon-looking good dude with like the sleeves that are cut or whatever, right?
Demon-looking dude with the sleeves.
The
Are you
bad
talking about
guy.
Blanca?
The bad
green guy?
I don't know his name, but he's a bad guy.
Blanca's not a bad guy though. He's a good guy. He just looks bad
Okay. Anyway, so there's
because
him.
he fell into a pool of electric eels when he was a child, and it turned him green and gave him electricity powers.
No, you're talking about
Because
that's the
Japan.
gorilla-looking dude. No, I'm talking about the mean-looking
Yeah.
dude. Like he has like his sleeves are like shredded and stuff. Anyway,
Sagat?
I don't
Does he have an
know.
eye patch?
I don't know their names.
Oh, he's talking about Akuma, I bet. Yeah.
Okay.
With the red hair.
He
He
looks like
Super
a
Saiyan.
demon kind of. Anyway, and then
Yeah,
there's
that's
the
Akuma.
army dude with the buzz cut.
Yeah, that's Guile.
Okay, so that's all I know. That's all I know about Street Fighter. That's it.
Oh,
Like, I
you're
know
missing
these
out.
dudes
There's so many
visually,
good
but I
ones.
don't know their names because I never really played Street Fighter that much. Oh, and then there's the Indian-looking dude that had a really long limb, and he could like stretchy kind of guy.
Yeah, Dalsim.
Yeah, that's it. That's all.
He
I
fights with yoga power, which is super weird.
know. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's the extent of my knowledge of like Street Fighter. Like it's what the characters look like, not their names or what their moves are or any of that shit. So.
Dude, I have a copy of the Street Fighter tabletop role-playing game.
What? I didn't even know they did role-playing characters for Street Fighter.
Yep, they did. It's kind of silly, but hey, like I said, I got a copy.
Why do you have it? Like, you played it?
Like, I ran it.
You ran it?
Yeah, for friends.
Oh, as like the main guy that tells the story? What's the name of that?
Game Master.
Yeah, the Game Master. Alright, yeah.
Here, DC, you need to know Armika,
Armika?
especially sir when we get to Bridget's route. I put a link in the chat for
Oh,
you.
it's like a butch
Yes,
girl?
Yorick, there is a tabletop role-playing game from the 90s
Oh, God.
for Street
God.
Fighter.
Nice ass.
I know. See, Street Fighter got great.
You see, don't you remember the 1,000 hand slap? Nope, don't know what that is.
Oh yeah, that's Honda, the
Chun-Li.
sumo guy.
I don't know. I knew more characters from like Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct. You know, like those were the fighter games that I played. You know, more.
Oh, it's too bad they don't have a Mortal Kombat test that we could give you,
Oh God.
like the geography test.
I mean,
See
I
how
don't
many
think I
you
would
could get
do
right.
that good, but I would do better than Street Fighter for sure.
DC could name like Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and the green one, and that's it.
There's a green one.
I could do my Minefield quiz again.
Dude, there's like 8 of them now. DC, it's insane. They went crazy with the ninjas.
Oh, you mean instead of the yeah. Sorry. I know what you're talking about now. You're talking about the Scorpion with a green version of it. Yeah. I didn't know they had a green version of it. I just knew there was the ice one and the Scorpion one. Yeah. Primal Rage? No. Is that another good fighter game? I didn't play that one.
Sorry, I had to step away for a second. Yeah, there's like 8 of them now. There's like a red one and a purple one and a gray one.
Yeah, I don't know.
They went nuts. And Primal Rage was awesome. I played Primal Rage back at the skating rink when I was little. It's a dinosaur fighting game.
Oh, I never played that. I didn't know it existed.
I think there was a giant monkey in it too that you could play as.
Yeah, like I enjoyed games growing up, but the more I realized I'm not that knowledgeable about video games. I think it's just because I didn't have a lot of consoles or games in general. So
Mhm.
my experience, like my knowledge of games, a lot of it is from watching friends who had games at their places, kind of thing. So yeah, pretty much that's what it is.
Yeah.
So the knowledge that I have about games usually is the limited amount of games that I actually personally owned, which wasn't that many.
Yeah. I see you as the kid that had like other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Didn't have a whole lot of time to game.
Yeah, and just I moved a lot when I was growing up, so
Hmm.
we weren't always at the same place. So it's not like had
Yeah,
like-
you didn't have a one set of friends that you had for years.
Yeah, or even just like lots of video games carrying around with me, like so. And more like comic books, stuff like that, books that I had. That's what I carried.
I had lots of cousins, and they were older than me, so they had tons of consoles.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And most of them were so much older than me that they didn't want to play with me when I came over. They're too old for that, so
Yeah.
I would just end up. I had one of my cousins was like 16 years older than me, I want to say,
Yeah.
and he had to babysit me a bunch when I was really little, like 4 or 5. And he had a computer, which this was back in like '93, so.
Did not taste like 12%. It tasted like 5% beer, and I drank 2 pitchers of it, and I was like, fucked. And I remember I was like, well, and I threw up, and I was like really hungover the next day. And I was drinking with friends that I hadn't seen in a very long time, in like 20 years or something. And I somehow was in town that day, and we met up, and we went to a bar, and they were like, oh, we love this beer, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what is it? And they talked about it, like, oh, it's so good, try it out. And we ordered like 2, it was really good beer, but they didn't tell me until I was like halfway through the second pitcher that it was really strong beer. They're like, oh dude, you should chill out, like that's the second pitcher you're drinking, you should like slow it down a little bit, because I was starting to get pretty hammered. And they were like, oh yeah, it's like really strong, it's like 12% or whatever. And I'm like, oh fuck. And I drank so much that by that time I was already woozy. I was already dizzy, like I have trouble walking straight, and I was like, oh, I'm fucked. So I finished my last like couple beers, and I went home. And then when I got home, I was like, I took a cab and I went home, and I sat on the couch, and I was like, yep, it's coming. Sometimes, right? You're like, yep,
yeah.
This is gonna be an awful night, isn't it? And that was it. And I threw up, and I was like, okay, I felt better after. But the next day I was
But it's a pretty good feeling after you're done throwing up and it's out. Like,
yeah, but I was so
you go from
smashed
feeling miserable to just like relief, like finally it's gone.
Yeah, but I didn't get to feeling that because I was so smash drunk that I went from like puking to coma, you know what I mean? So yeah,
You just wake up in a puddle.
yeah, it was bad.
Oh,
But I think
yeah,
that
that's
was the
pretty
last
bad.
time I got drunk. But it takes me a lot to get to that point. Like 2 pitchers of really strong beer is a lot of beer. Like, and I drank it.
Yeah,
in a
well, it
short
depends
amount of
what
time.
you're drinking.
Yeah, but the problem is that like, I
I
didn't space it out. Like we were at that bar for like an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. So I drank 2 pitchers in like 2 hours of like really strong beer. Like it fucked me up,
Mm-hmm.
So that was the problem. I didn't space it out, But
The last time I did it, I was at a friend's party, and it was the first time I was drinking wine. I'd never drank wine before, and like I got there and I started drinking early, and I went through an entire bottle before the party had even started. Like people
dude.
were just showing up, and I was like, "Oh, this wine is so good!" And I was about 3/4 of the way through the second bottle, and that's when it hit me. And like, I spent the night in my friend's upstairs bathroom, just hugging the toilet.
And wine